Heyo internet, after many comments in the past few years, I've decided fine. Is this what you've all wanted? To see a muscular bald man play leapfrog over his enemies' corpses. Ah, Buck, the champion most of my audience knows me for and requests every single stream. Come on now, you would expect most people to be tired of competitive button mashing in the form of this handsome gentleman, but hey, the people ask and I shall give. So without further ado, I present Buck, the unyielding champion.
I surrender! Ah! Double kill!
They just couldn't stop me!
Oh baby, triple kill! Quadra kill!
Okay. Now, if you've watched this clip and decided, oh, Buck is OP and looks so fun to play, I'll go dominate ranked with him right away. I may have some bad news for you. While Buck does have the ability to pull off sick plays like that, and carry his team to victory, he's really not as powerful as some make him seem. In fact, his at first glance simple playstyle turns out to be far more complex, and requires a certain state of mind. One where you've died so many times that you simply shrug your shoulders and buy Master Feeding 3. Yes, Buck isn't for the light of heart. But what makes him so? Buck is an unstoppable force equal to 3 bulldozers and a half of a racehorse. All other flanks and champions in the game have gimmicks, immortal bodies, or just have straight up furry bait. But not Buck. Buck is just, well, Buck. He doesn't have a special magical power to help him destroy his enemies. No sir, just an old shotgun that jams from time to time.
Best king.
What's going on with you, man?
And his absolute physical dominance over all those fools who dare oppose him. I mean, just look at this. It's peak male performance. Well, almost.
What do you mean, overcompensating?
His role is to flank, tank, and spank every snobbish sniper, damage, or healer that thinks they are safe to freely exist. How dare they? And no, I didn't make a mistake when I said tank. Unlike the rest of our flanks, Buck is also a bouncer. He has a lot of HP and strong damage reduction, making him pretty much an off-tank, but with his variety of playstyles, he can become a lot more. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I haven't even told you about his skills yet. Starting off with the best movement ability in the realm, his leap. Embracing his inner fat Italian plumber, Buck launches himself straight into the enemy lines. With grace, power, and might, the leap can do damage with some talents, but by default it's just a movement ability, which you can customize the distance of to your heart's content. Want to fly over the enemy's heads in style? We got you, fam! There's nothing more satisfying than flying gracefully through the air, taking in all the beautiful scenes.
Imagine, dude.
Oh, yeah. The momentum of your leap carries over if you get stunned mid-air, so watch out. Buck's secondary fire is called net shot. As the name entails, you toss out a net on your unsuspecting prey.
Throw it at him, not me!
It adds a small slow and a bit of damage. Honestly, if used as is, I mainly just dump it out for that tiny DPS boost. It might not seem like much, but it does add up in the long run. Not to mention, your enemy must be quite peeved from having to move at the pace of Torvald without his walking cane.
I feel weak.
But now onto what makes Buck so hard to kill. The built-in heal dispenser, Recovery.
Hello there. Oh no.
Get over here!
Yup, Buck is a strong independent flank that don't need no support. But if you think that's going to stop me from spamming the chat due to my critical lack of heals, you thought wrong.
Why am I toxic?
With Recovery, you get back a bit of your health, but the downside being a long animation time, in which you can't do damage, but it can certainly be done to you if used in battle. So there's a high chance the enemy won't be the antagonist to your anime, and will simply put one in your face.
I won.
It's best used when out of combat and cauterize, but now onto the first ultimate in the game I actually dislike. One that every Buck main wishes was buffed or reworked altogether. Buck Wild. I don't know what you expected, but it probably wasn't this. Buck's ultimate gives him unlimited ammo and a slightly faster firing rate with a tiny cooldown reduction. Sounds good on paper, but in reality it's worse than a Tiberius Q skill, and he has that up almost all the time. Maybe one day we will get a cool ultimate for him, making him into a Super Saiyan he's meant to be, or something like a Makoa ults, but flashier, bigger, huger, if that's a word. But for now, we will just have to enjoy the screaming and loud train noises of Buck. Use it whenever you want, because it really doesn't matter. Now for the fun part, and probably the only unique part of Paladins, the talents and loadout cards. Starting off with my favorite one, the Leapfrog King himself, Bounce House. Bounce House is by far the most fun talent Buck has, turning his leap into a weapon of mass destruction.
Incoming!
It's honestly one of the most satisfying playstyles in Paladins. You leap like an enraged monkey on steroids, crushing everything in your path. And the more unfortunate poor souls that happen to come out of spawn alone, like the geniuses they are, the more resets on your jump and overall kit you get, making you into a deadly shotgun-wielding snowball.
It's happening!
But how do you go from a casual feeding Buck, just jumping in to faceplant into a respawn screen, to Mr. Worldwide, leaping all over the map? The loadout, of course. So this here is, to this day, one of my oldest yet most reliable loadouts when it comes to Bounce House Buck, and the main playstyle I utilize to this day. As you can already see, Momentum is definitely the key card for this loadout. It gives us a ton of damage reduction for when we inevitably miss our lead and need to dance around while rapidly shooting at the enemy.
Dance all day, I can dance all day! Try with me, come on!
It works more often than you would expect. The next card that is a must-have at 5 points as well is Stomping Ground, with 70% cooldown resets on eliminations. This part used to be only for kills, so yeah, they've made it even easier. You can start to see where the snowball reset aspect of this playstyle comes from. And the finishing touches are Accelerate at 2 and Leg Day at 2 as well, which pretty much sets your skill resets very close to instantaneous, if you land your leap on the enemy, with the Vigor card just left as a nice filler to get 1 ammo back on your heal. Now this loadout pairs well with Chronos, if you're struggling to get the resets fast enough. Think of it like training wheels for your bike. It helps you where you want to go, but even with all that damage reduction you already have, we still want Haven, Veteran, and Kill to Heal, since with the recent changes making it completely busted, thank you Hi-Res, as Cauterize no longer applies to it, until they possibly revert it. These items will pretty much be used in every Buck loadout and playstyle, only changing for ones like the Resilience when the enemy has a lot of crowd control, or Illuminate if they have invisible champions or deployables. Or Deft Hands is also a fun one, but it's more of a burn item or something just to have fun with. And with that, you're all set to be a machine of mass destruction, consuming anything in your path, and making the foes you vanquish part of your own strength.
Get her. Hi. No simping today, ma foi.
Yeah, boy.
That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
And just like that, the enemy team completely collapses. But why? Well, as seen in the example clip from before, we start off with the enemy team at a great advantage. They've set up their defense, a big Koa shield in our face, and all seems to be going well. So I just hang back and wait patiently for a single one of them to take some damage. You see, Buck is like a shark. Once he smells blood in the water, he's ready to go, and will instantly dive in for the kill. So as I notice the damage rolling in with the collapse of Makoa's shield, I do just that, timing it perfectly with my off-tank's assault. You can even see the panic in the enemy team's eyes as they back up, realizing what's about to happen. I instantly go for the low health Leon, while her Makoa tries desperately to defend her, only to fall seconds later as I use my ultimate to reload missing ammo. With him out of the way, I freely dive the now retreating Bomb King, adding him to the streak. The enemy Maeve tries to pull a funny and ults to save the Damba. Unfortunately for both of them, I've bought Resilience 3 a long time ago, and he falls as well.
Did you know that I can see you?
And now with Maeve being the only one alive, I simply have fun hunting her down, as my own team pushes the payload. Buck easily duels any other flank in a 1v1 scenario. Granted, you're actually decent with him, so this does not pose much of a challenge. And with that, it's a full team wipe. Now this playstyle does have a few downsides, and the reason why you barely see anybody playing it, besides anyone stupid enough to actually do it 24/7 like me, and that first downside is the existence of cripples, slows, and silence, along with so much more. Basically any form of crowd control. It completely negates both your actual leap and the damage from it, along with the effects that you get from the cards, making you into a big target that just consistently feeds the enemy. In these kinds of games, or if you find yourself dying too much, I do have a strategy, and that strategy involves a horse. As all good strategies do, the strategy I've rightfully named Winged Hussar.
I'm a bird.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.
Thank you, Buck.
Don't like that
Finally.
That's right, if we're gonna feed hard. So hard that the enemy is overwhelmed by seeing us ride into battle seconds after they've just killed us. You've probably already figured out the item behind this all. It's Master Feeding, one of my favorite items in this game that allows us to end a match victorious while also having a score of 30 and 20 plus deaths. It's truly amazing, but one thing you have to remember with this tactic is you can't be scared. You must charge in, see the first vulnerable enemy, and just dive in without thinking of the risks you take. Remember, you will respawn soon either way, so just go for it. This type of aggressive playstyle is also one that I've sort of become infamous for in the Paladins community, but it's one I enjoy to this day, and I think you'd get a blast out of it if you try it for yourself. However, the next downside does not really have much of a solution, and that's just counterpicks. Yes, for the most part, it's picks with crowd control again, but these are very specific champions. Champions like Santi with her kick talent, or Shaolin with his silence arrow, and the reset arrow build. But worst of all, Genos, with just being Genos.
You're adopted.
In these kinds of games, there are only two things you can do. Wait for your team to get them low, or have them use all their abilities, which is very unlikely as they have multiple charges of them.
Yikes.
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 Or we could just simply pick a different talent, because we have that option. And boy does Buck have a great variety of playstyles, with my second favorite talent, Net Shot.
Sniping's a good job, mate.
With Net Shot, we enter a world where Buck is more of a mid-range sniper, with your net giving a damage boost to anybody you hit and slowing them down to take an easier shot. But the way I've built my loadout, it also makes us far more mobile and allows us to simply never be in range of some champions like Sati, while also heal almost as much as they hit you for with every single shot. And with that, I present to you the Net Shot loadout.
Wow! Incredible!
Here we have Concussion as the base card, lowering your net shot skills cooldown by 5 entire seconds, with Bully being up next, also at a 5 points, for 60% lifesteal on any target you've hit with net shot during its duration. Gotcha at 3 points provides that nice speed boost whenever we use our net shot, to either move quickly around the map, get closer to our target, or just run away. It's like the Swiss Army knife for Buck. And of course we have to have Leg Day and Stomping Ground again as the two burn cards in this loadout. So this loadout pretty much allows you to be like any other standard flank, only with 2 heals, a lot more health, and insane headshot damage. Yeah, it's a pretty fun playstyle, and unlike Bounce House, has a lot less downsides. Really, the only thing that could possibly be that big of a problem would just be better players.
This guy has no chill, man.
And resilience would definitely make it easier for the enemy to deal with your net shot altogether. But that's just part of the game, I guess. However, with the next build, you just don't have any downsides at all. In fact, it might be the safest playstyle in all of Paladins. Bulk Up. With Bulk Up, we get an extra buff to our already existing pretty strong heal, and a champion that simply won't die. Now, here's how you do that. With Reconstruction at 5, we get 5 seconds off of our heals cooldown, making it the base card in this kit. We add Deep Breath at 5 for 30% damage reduction, while healing for 2 entire seconds. And Momentum at 3 for another 15% damage reduction on our lead. Leg Day and Vigor being the burn cards for the stat. This loadout can both be used to start fights with incredible damage reduction and endless healing, play safe around corners while never really losing much of your health, or escape out of any tricky situation with so much utility, all focused on keeping you alive.
Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet, and he stands there, unfazed.
I didn't really die.
But the best way to play it is like Buck intended, just by being a bodyguard. You simply plop yourself on left or right flank, wherever your team is having the most trouble, and that's it. No one can pass.
You shall not pass!
Anywhere you go simply becomes unavailable for the enemy team. In turn, this helps your backline DPS do their job more effectively, and if they are also any good at the game, you will have pretty easy wins. You can abuse this playstyle to raise your KDA, blame your team as you end the game with 10-0, or just learn to play Buck in general, because the comfort of this build allows you to safely understand how he works, his skills, and honestly, even Paladins altogether. I'd say this is a perfect build for beginners and veteran players alike, so give it a shot. Honestly, if you duo with any decent friend that plays damage, you can just protect them all the time from every other flank and win almost every single game off of a 30 kill streak Panessa or something like that. Team synergy could look something like Buck Cassie, Buck Corvus, Furia, Ray, Io, any other good support really, or Buck, Khan, Koa, any other meta off tank, as you both become a menace that's hard to kill, with Buck's role being providing the damage and helping off tanks do their job even better. But that concludes our Bucky boy. He's definitely my favorite champion in the game and has provided me hours upon hours of fun. He's a great guy in a terrible buggy world, so give him a try, will ya? That's pretty much it for the video, short and sweet, but straight to the point. Hope you guys enjoyed it, possibly even learned something new. And with that, I'd like to shout out our channel sponsors. Azreal Hochron, Tobi, Magma Flux, Tried I Repeat, Just Vegito, Freyxa, and the rest of these lovely people on screen along with the description below. Thank you to everybody who becomes a member, super chats, donates, buys the merch to support the channel, or watches my videos all together. It all helps make this content possible, and I really appreciate it. As always, check out our Discord server if you want a friendly gaming community to join. Subscribe if you still haven't, and like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you dislike it, and I'm also reminding all of you that there's a special merch sale going on right now, where you can get holiday-themed limited and non-limited merch. And if you enjoy Minecraft, we also have a new Minecraft survival server. It's currently live for the update 1.19.2, and it's open for everybody on any client, so feel free to join and start gaming today. Who knows, maybe we'll even cross paths. That's it for this one, and I hope to see you in the next video.